Hey, it's Huck. And hey, I'm here. I didn't want you worrying about me, so I wanted to post a video. I don't have a whole lot to say today, but it's just been too long. I missed y'all. And I'm hoping you missed me a little bit. Anyway, just to kind of fill you in, old Huck hadn't been doing too well here the last 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, really not too well. And I don't want to worry y'all or anything, but the truth is, I was having a little hard time getting around and just doing the day-to-day things without being just, gasping for breath, so to speak. I finally went in to see my doctor. Now, he had sent me to this pulmonary rehabilitation little place. It's about 6 miles away. It's just a little building, very friendly folks out there, a bunch of other people just like me. They got a whole, big room full of all kinds of impressive looking exercise equipment, none of which I've been allowed on yet, basically. So when I go, they have me do really not much more than stretches, neck exercises and, lifting your legs and pulling rubber bands and, but none of it really too taxing. I went to about, I missed about 6 of my first 9 scheduled sessions because I have just been so out of breath every time I walk. I went back into my doctor. He had me tested and found out that he thought that I should be on oxygen more. So he ordered me up a new batch of what they call these, these portable oxygen things. Here, I'll show you what they look like. Bunch of these. You can see there's I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 canisters there, and then one taller tank, and then there's one in that bag that I'm supposed to take with me. Well, at any rate, I'll be honest with you, for the last more than a month, there haven't been too many times I've been sitting right here on the couch that I haven't been on, the big oxygen concentrator. And while I have, ventured to go down to, the store to pick up a gallon of milk or something, when I have left, I've taken the portable with me. I've had to. So it's really just in the last 2 days or so that I have been able to wean myself off of that for the most part. I've been sleeping with the oxygen just as kind of a precaution. Some reason at night when I lay down, I have my breathing feels labored. And so I just, maybe just peace of mind, I feel better having the oxygen on at night. But I'm trying to wean myself off of it. I don't know what my doctor wants me to do or not to do. But, of course, I got my little monitor here. And, so I can kind of keep track of what I'm doing. The problem has been for the last 5 or 6 weeks, I have had, normally, if I'm doing okay and I'm sitting around doing nothing, my oxygen level should be around 97, 98. My heartbeat should be, at least under 80. And what's been happening is that my heartbeat has been a steady, 98, 106 when I'm sitting around. And my oxygen level was like 92, 93. That's not a good combination. And so, I've taken another antibiotic, the Cefdinir, went through all of that, and they put me on, a bigger dose of prednisone, of course, and I've been almost done with that. And, let's see where I'm at. Now, see, right now, I'm just sitting here, and my oxygen level, I don't know if you can read this. Okay, it just went up. It was 93, now it's 94. And my heart pulse rate is, I don't know, what does it say about, it's okay, it's about 98, 97, 99, oxygen's about 92, 93. Same, it's not a good combination. My oxygen level should be up at least 95, 96. And, my heartbeat should be a little bit lower than that. So, at any rate, that's what's been happening. Now, I am feeling better. And, these last 2 months have been a financial nightmare. Now, I've been getting some help all along here, and it roughly pays about well over half of my monthly bills. And but the truth is, it's finally caught up with me. I've run out of things to sell. I've tried. I mean, I've still got things I'm trying to sell, but no matter how ridiculously, underpriced I post these items, folks just aren't buying it. So, I got to the point where for the first time I fell not just a month behind in my rent, but 2 months behind in my mortgage, I should say. Went several months without paying my gas bill. I've just been trying to keep the services I absolutely needed to have, and finally I was able to make a house payment, but I'm still one behind. And at any rate, lo and behold, I got news today that I have been approved for Social Security disability. And, that's the big weight off of my shoulders. So many people get rejected the first time around. But I'm not out of the woods yet, though. I'm told, I got a letter here. Let me go fetch it. The Social Security Administration, and here it kind of points out what I'm going to get, if you can see that. I don't know if you can read that, but what it says is, how much will I get and when? Your monthly amount before deductions is $1,292. The amount they're going to deduct for Medicare, at least for now, is $0. Amount they're going to deduct for prescription drug plan is, for now, $0. After any other takeout deductions, you're going to receive $1,292. Now, it goes on to say, after we take any other deductions, you'll receive on or about January 13th, 2016. It says so right here. 1,292. Now, unfortunately, I got another letter, same day, that kind of discussed. See, I guess sometimes when people get approved, it's after they have waited 10 months or a year and a half or whatever, and so there's all this back pay they get. Well, this other letter I got explains that my first eligible month was this month, and this January payment is going to be for December, and so there is no back pay. I had my whatever it is 5 or 6 month waiting period, and that's so there's no back pay. Now, I handle this through Binder & Binder, which is a law firm, and my understanding from them, and by the way, I've not heard anything from them yet, but my understanding with Binder & Binder was that they were going to charge basically 30% of whatever, I assume my lump sum or first payment would be. So I have a question, and the question is, are they going to take 30% out of that first check of $1,292, and will they be satisfied with that? Or because there was no lump sum and there's not more money involved, or is it going to be a bigger percentage somehow? And how does that work? Do they take it all out of this one first check, or are they going to take a little bit each, check every month for a while? And nobody has told me. Now, the last time I called Binder & Binder was the last time I was still trying to amass some supplemental information that the Social Security Administration had asked after I assumed they had submitted everything, and they wanted some more data from me. And so I compiled the data, sent it to Binder & Binder, and had them turn it in. But I called Binder & Binder to, before I sent it to them, just to make sure that, that I had done this right. Because the last thing I wanted was, to get rejected because something was incomplete or not done properly or something. And I was kind of put off by the person. I don't know if this was my, my personal person at the law firm, caseworker or whoever. But when I called, they noted that this was like the third or fourth time that I had called them, and since I had first contacted them, and I says, well, yeah, because before I do anything, I just want to make sure that everything is right, and I don't have to do it all over again, or I don't want my claim rejected or delayed because I did something foolish. And her response was, 4 times, well, that's expensive. I didn't know how to take that, but I took that to mean that every time I call, that's going to be more money they're going to take out on me. So like I say, I got this. I don't know whether I'm going to get $1,292 on the 13th, or whether I'm going to get, like, they're going to take 30% for the law firm, and so maybe I'll get like $800 and something. All I know is I've got to make 2 house payments. That's $860 right there, and then everything else I got to pay this month. So if I can get to the point where I can get caught up, this is going to be enough to get me through every month. I've been living on, through the help of one individual in particular, who I just, there are no words to express the kindness and generosity and the sacrifice that this one person has made over a period of just months and months, really, more than a year now. This person has been my almost sole source of income. With this person's just tremendous generosity, I have had an income of about $600 a month, and I've had to supplement that best I can with whatever I could manage to sell. And gosh, over the last year and a half, I have sold my prized bookcases. I have sold, a whole slew of albums. I've sold my 4x8 utility trailer. I took a, it was last September, year ago, September, I, took out $2,100 worth of loans, basically cashing out my my life insurance, of which I've not paid anything back yet. I still owe $141 in income tax. I owed $151 this year, and I didn't have any money at the time, and so I sent them a $10 check and told them I would pay the rest. And they've not really harassed me about it, but that's probably going to still have to get paid, $141. And at any rate, so each month I've had, to come up with $300 or $400 to try to best I can. Now, there have been some bills I just didn't worry about. If it was a medical bill, I'd pay them $5 or I'd pay them nothing. I didn't pay my gas bill for months. I haven't paid my, my garbage. They come to pick up your trash every week, and it's like $16 a week. I owe them $137. They took my barrels and left, so that's going to have to get rectified. But I mean, to try to make ends meet, I have sold my mom and dad's antique table and buffet. I have sold, both of my guitars, as you know. I've sold my good video camera that I had, my Sony. I sold my green screen and all my lighting. I can't even think of everything I sold. Those are some of the things that I've done. I've sold my riding lawnmower, for $625. I mean, when you got to come up with $400 or $500, every single month, and there have been months when I couldn't. There were months when I came up with $200 or $300 or. Unfortunately, the last 2 months, I haven't been able to come up with anything. I mean, nothing. And that's why I've fallen so far behind. I got a letter that I was in default on my home. And I did manage to get a payment in. I'm still a payment behind. And I haven't heard back from them yet. So no matter what happens January 13th, I've got to get completely caught up, because by then I'll owe this month and next month. And that's got to be the priority. I can't lose the house. I'm so close now, because like I said, if I can get to the point where I'm caught up, this is going to be enough money a month, I think, to make it. I mean, I'm going to have to cut back and scale back. I'm not going to get the TV programming I want, but I should be able to do it. And the question is, though, how long is it going to take me to, what do I got to do to try to get to that point? And for that person out there who has been just incredibly generous. The good news is that I could see where by the middle or end of January, I will not need your help any longer, and you'll be free to, well, you're free now to do what you choose, but it'd be nice to be able to say thank you, and now you can, maybe put your efforts toward a more worthy cause than me. And at any rate, that's where I'm at. I'm kind of excited because things could have been a whole lot worse than they've been. And I'm always mindful that for everything that I've gone through, there are people out there that are struggling through much worse than I've been dealing with. And when someone is so generous to you, someone you don't even know, it makes you really, at least it makes me think very deeply, inside myself, and ask me what type of person I am, and how I could help others. And I do. It's something I try to do, I like to say every day, but the truth is I don't leave the house every day. But in every situation where I am interacting with other people, I'm finding that I'm looking for opportunities to think bigger than myself. In ways big and small. Unfortunately, in my situation, I often have to think small. But that's okay. So I didn't want anybody worrying about me. 6 or 7 weeks or whatever it's been, maybe it's been 2 months since I've posted a video. It's way too long a time. And so I just thought I needed to get something up. Wanted to update everybody about my situation. Social Security, like I said, did send me another letter, and they explained that because there is no lump sum, that I'm getting any back pay. What the procedure will be is the law firm, in this case Binder & Binder, will need to contact them and notify them what their fee is going to be. And then Social Security apparently has to approve that. So like I said, I have not received anything official from Binder & Binder. And I have no indication of what that fee is going to be or how they're going to assess it from what I'm going to be collecting. If it was up to me, I'd say just, take care of it, first thing and get it over with. But I'm kind of hesitant. I don't want to call Binder & Binder because I'm afraid after this last time I talked with them that anything just the mere phone call itself is going to incur like an additional charge or something. So I don't know. Maybe I should still call them anyway, or call Social Security. But I think I'm just going to wait until January 13th and see what happens. At any rate, any way you slice it, this is really good news. Like I say, it could be so much worse. They could have rejected me the first time around, and I could have to go through that very, very lengthy, appeal process that can take, I guess, a year and a half or more. And I don't have to do that. Now, also, I learned that there's like 3 categories that they put people in with Social Security. There's like category A, I guess I'll call it, where it's like a temporary thing. They expect you to recover, and so they review your case after like 6 months. I think it's 6 months to a year. They have to review every case. So depending on what category you fit under, it determines, how soon they review your case. So the one category are what I guess they consider people that are on like short term. Then there's another category I'll call category B, for people that are, I guess, maybe more seriously injured, and but they are expected maybe a long-term recovery and being able to go back to work. And for those people, they are, I guess, reviewed. I don't know I can't remember now whether it was a year to 3 years, or a year to 2 years, or 2 years to 3 years, something like that. And then finally there's category 3, which I guess are the folks like me that they don't really ever expect to go back to work. So they're still mandated to have to check up on us and review our case at some point. But for us, it's more long term. They don't worry about you right away. So so the letter said that my case would be reviewed sometime between 5 and 7 years from now. And hey, I mean, the way my health has deteriorated the last, 2 or 3 years, figure I'll be happy to be here 5 to 7 years from now, So anyway, I welcome that. That's where I'm at. I have had a whole lot of things I'd like to say, based on things in the news, based on things going on in the political arena these days, with the whole Republican Party and the whole, the whole war on terror. I really wanted to post a video about my feelings about Islam. Because I'll be honest with you, I think both parties have it wrong. I find some of the things that Donald Trump and frankly other Republicans to be saying, somewhat outrageous. But at the same time, I think that some of the things that the way that the Democratic candidates are approaching that topic are somewhat not exactly spot on either. I mean, I actually have maybe a deeper concern about how prevalent extremism is when it comes to religion, and I use that word religion on purpose. Because I think religious fundamentalism is the problem. There is a percentage of people who are Muslim around the world who are committed to kill anyone and anything that gets in their way of their goal of worldwide Islam. And while that percentage of folks that are that extreme may be somewhat small, we're probably still talking about hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. And even in this country, we've seen what 1 or 2 or 19 can do. And I don't mean just the amount of damage, to life and property that they cause. But when you think of, you think of the U.S. reaction, to some of these acts, including 9/11, and we've changed our whole, national security apparatus, our homeland security apparatus. We've spent, probably trillions of dollars as a result of, what relatively few people, were able to do. And I think there's a larger number of folks that might not be willing to kill to get their goal, but within the Islamic faith are wholly devoted to seeing, this goal of worldwide caliphate as a one-day reality. It's just that some of those folks aren't necessarily willing to kill for it, and maybe they might want to do so more through, political means, as you see them do, like in the Gaza Strip, when they elected Hamas, or as Egypt attempted to do when they elected the Muslim Brotherhood. So I think outside of that, then you have the rest of the Muslim world, which is, the vast majority. But like I say, so few are needed to make such, really, to really change our way of life. So few are needed to cost us just a tremendous amount of money and reorient our goals and priorities. And so that's kind of my take on, Islam. Is I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, this is actually, we can't take this lightly. This is something that we have to take much more seriously. And I think even, if you examine it that way, I think the Democratic nominees are kind of underplaying the danger, the risk, and the priority that it is. But at the same token, I don't think Islam or the Muslim religion is alone in this. And, I really didn't want to get into this today because, Christmas is upon us. And but as I examine it, I think this is a problem with religious fundamentalism. We have extremists in the Christian religion just as there are, in the Islamic religion. And some are who have proven that they're willing to, sacrifice their lives for their goals, whether it be, on issues of abortion or any number of other things. I think one of the differences is that, in the Christian religion, at least in Western civilizations, we have kind of more picked and chosen, what parts of the Bible we want to follow and what parts of the Bible we've just chosen to ignore. We're Muslims, and I don't know, I'm not a Muslim, but it seems to me we're Muslims kind of will accept the whole thing more or less and say, well, okay, this is what they say about gays, and that's what we're going to go with. Christians, I think, largely have been able to say, well, we don't really believe that women should be subservient, so we'll just ignore that part. Or we don't really believe that, divorce, is as bad as, or equal to being this or that. The truth is, if you talk to Christian fundamentalists, though, they do believe all these things. I mean, there are preachers today, one of whom, hosted an event that Bobby Jindal, Mike Huckabee, and Ted Cruz attended to, who was basically advocating the execution of gay people. Now, he didn't say anything about divorce, and that's what I mean. Even these extremists, pick and choose which parts of the Bible they want to follow and which parts they don't. But, I guess as we're all getting ready to celebrate Christmas, I was raised in a Catholic family, and some of the traditions and some of the customs and it's so built into our society. Whether you go to church or you don't, we've just, it's a part of us. And whether we recognize it or not, whether it's the Christmas songs that we listen to or the movies that we watch at Christmas time, and so I didn't really want to get into this at this time of year, but I guess my feeling is that what we're really talking about, when you really get down to it, is there's not a whole heck of a lot of difference between the Christian religion and the Islamic religion as far as how we treat one another, and what's against the law and what's not. At any rate, I guess what I'm keep coming back to in my own mind is I keep thinking, we're talking about basically ancient cults here. We're talking about one that's 13 or 1400 years old, and we're talking one that's maybe 2,000 years old. But but any way you look at it, any way you shape it, today's fundamentalist Christians, if they were really devoted to it as they say they are, then there's no way they could read that Bible and not come around to the conclusion that, well, first of all, clearly Jesus is advocating for conscientious objection, if that's an option, rather than military service. Clearly, the Bible is advocating, women being subservient to men, that rebellious teenagers and, really volatile, disobedient children are to be condemned. I don't know, so I guess if we're going to target the Muslim religion for their extremists and for their belief system, we're going to have to take a hard look at the Christian religion as well. And so, if we're going to be tolerant of Christians, then it teaches us that we have to be tolerant of Muslims as well. What we really need to find a way to do, because so much of the world, you've got nearly 4 billion people on earth that are either Muslim or Christian. You're not going to change that. We're not going to do away with religion overnight. That's not going to be the answer. The answer has got to be tolerance, modifying the extremist views of these religions, learning to accept others, and for their differences and their, call it what you will, unfaithfulness. I see no other way out of this. At any rate, that's going to be a topic I hope to bring up in more detail when I can put my thoughts together maybe more succinctly. I want to thank everybody for hanging in there. I want to wish everybody very Merry Christmas and very happy New Year. I'll try to get something posted here, if not before Christmas Day, before New Year's. And until then, enjoy your holidays. Thank you. Be kind to someone.